Valmiki Ramayana, Bala Kanda, Book 1, Sarga 37, Chapter 37. The birth of Kartikeya, i.e. Kanda. Sage Vishwamitra continues his narration about the earthly course of Ganga, her begetting Kartikeya, Kritika star's breastfeeding that boy, God's naming that boy as Kartikeya, and that boy's anointment as the chief of celestial armies. While God Shiva is undertaking ascesis, thus, then the gods desiring an army chief for celestial forces have arrived in the audience of forefather Brahma, along with Indra and keeping fire god at day 4. Sage Vishwamitra continued his narration to Rama. On approaching the forefather Brahma, O Rama, all of the celestials headed by fire god and along with Indra have venerated and then spoke this to him. O God Brahma, he who has hypothetically given a chief of celestial army in the form of his potence, that God Shiva is undertaking a supreme ascesis, indeed along with goddess Uma. Comment. The potence that is stirred from Shiva and given to earth, as in last chapter, has not yet materialized as Kartikeya. Looking forward for the welfare of the worlds, O knower of the procedures, Brahma, you may order us clearly what is to be done next, as you alone are our ultimate recourse. On listening the words of gods, Brahma, the forefather of all the worlds, soothingly spoke this to the celestials with sweet words. What that daughter of mountain, namely goddess Uma, has said, that you shall have no posterity in your own wives, is true, and it cannot be decried, and it is unambiguous too. In whom the fire god can procreate an enemy-destroying chief of celestial armies. Such an imperial Ganga is there. The elder daughter, king of mountains, namely Ganga, will graciously welcome the offspring from fire god, and that act of Ganga in welcoming the offspring through fire god will also be pleasurable in many ways to the younger daughter of king of mountains, namely Uma, no doubt about it. So said Brahma to all the gods. On hearing those words of Brahma, O Rama, the delight of Raghu dynasty, all the gods have praisefully worshipped him, as their ends are achieved at the bidding fair of Brahma. On going to that supreme Mount Kailash, O Rama, which is heaped up with many oars, all of those gods have assigned the fire god to father a son. O fire god, you please coordinate the mission of gods. O great resplendent god of fire, you may release the potence of Shiva, which you have contained so far, in the daughter of King of Mountains, namely river Ganga. Thus all gods have requested the fire god. On assuring the gods that he will do his best, the fire god approached Ganga, entreating, O goddess Ganga, you verily bear pregnancy with the potence of Shiva, since this is the select process of all the gods. So said fire god to river Ganga. On listening that sentence of fire god, river Ganga adopted a celestial form, readying herself, and on seeing her glorious mien, the fire god sipped throughout her. The fire god then drenched river Ganga from all over with the potence of Shiva, which he contained so far. O Raghu's delight, Rama, and every rill and channel of Ganga is replete with it. River Ganga then spoke this to the fire god who is in the lead of all gods. O God, I am incapable to bear up the rampant fervor of yours, and while being burnt with the fire of God Shiva, compounded with that of yours, my life force is very highly tortured. He who consumes fire oblations on behalf of all the gods, that fire god, seeing the miserable condition of river Ganga, then spoke this to her: You may lay away that embryo here at the side of Himalayan mountains. So said fire god to river Ganga. O great resplendent Rama, on hearing that words of fire god, O charming Prince Rama, river Ganga indeed ejected that great radiant embryo of Shiva from all her rills and channels. Which refulgent embryo with the glitter of molten gold has emerged from river Ganga is there that has reached earth, and from that the silver and even the gold with its matchless dazzle have emerged. In that process, copper and iron are also generated from that combustion of fires of Shiva and fire god, and the residue have become tin and lead, and thus that embryo, on reaching the earth, has evolved itself into various other elements also. But just when that embryo is laid down on Himalayan mountains, entire reed garden sprouted on that mountain is made brilliant by that glittering embryo, and the reed garden itself has become golden. O tigerly man, from then onwards, the gold, with its brilliance equaling that of the fire god, is renowned by the name of Jatarupa, one that retains its birth-time form. And O Raghava, everything on the mountain, say grass, trees, climbers, and shrubs, all have become golden. Comment. The gold has the etymological name of Jatarupa, birth time form, as and when Ganga disgorged her womb, there appeared a forest of fire like gold. So the gold glowing like fire is called gold at many places in Ramayana. P.T. Satyavrat. Then for the boy who took birth from the embryo deposited in Himalayas, the wind gods along with Indra have arranged Kritika stars to simultaneously suckle him. Those Kritika stars have decided among themselves that this boy shall be the son for all of us. And on making such a best resolve, they suckled the just born boy. All the gods have then said, this boy will be renowned in all the three worlds as Kartikeya, as Kritika stars have suckled him without any doubt. On hearing that blessing of God's, Kritika stars gave a wash to that excellently auspicious boy who is radiant like fire and who slid down from the secretion of the womb of Ganga. And gods called that boy O Rama of Kakuchta, whose glow is like that of flaring fire, and who is ambidextrous as Kanda, for he slid down from the secretions of a womb. Then an excellent milk instantly came forth from the breasts of the six Kritika stars, and becoming a six-faced one, that boy too sucked that milk from the six Kritika stars at the same time. Comment. It is said that each of the six Kritika stars came forward to give her milk firstly to this boy. Observing their eagerness to feed him, Skanda, Kartikeya, made his own face into six and sucked all the milk of all the six stars and become an adolescent boy in a day. Hence he looked like the one with six faces, by which he is called Shanmukha, six-faced deity. Later he argues with his father Shiva that he is superior to Shiva because he has five faces of Shiva plus his own, totaling to a six, and he is a six-faced deity superior to the five-faced god, namely Shiva. In another way, the boy by birth is dexterous, and he sucked the milk of all the six mothers in split second with one face, but it appeared to all deities that the boy has been sucking milk with six faces, i.e., with rapid face movement. Thus, on establishing his ambidextrous personality, the gods nominate him as the chief of celestial army. On sipping the milk just for one day, he became an adolescent boy on that day itself, and even though he is of delicate constitution as a boy, that taskmaster triumphed over the army troops of demons by his own vigor. All of the celestials all of the celestials have then come together under the leadership of fire god, and they anointed that highly resplendent boy Kanda or Kartikeya as the chief of celestial army troops. This way I have vividly narrated the legend, i.e., history of Ganga to you, O Rama. Like that, the divine and meritorious legend, i.e., history, of the emergence of Kumara, namely Skanda, is also narrated. He who is a devotee of Kartikeya, or Rama of Kakuchta, he thrives with longevity, also with sons, grandsons, on this humanly earth in his mortal life, and on its conclusion he becomes one with Skanda on journeying to Skanda's abode. Jai Valmiki Ramayana. Thus ends the 37th chapter, 37 Sarga of Bala Kanda, Book 1. Just absolutely amazing repository of all details, historical details of the birth of demigod Skanda, the god of war, the general of the army of the demigods. So what we are seeing is, again, our Ralph Griffith, who translated Ramayana from Schlegel's Latin translation, although our Ralph Griffith did excellent job, really beautiful job translating. He didn't translate this chapter and the previous chapter, 36 and 37, because he thought that is improper. It was improper for the modern day Britishers of back then, 1800s. You see, he calls them modern day. So we just laugh at that because taking out important information is bad. It's just bad. It's not nice. A lots of context could be lost, and so on. We need all these histories to understand actually what we are dealing with. Ramayana is a true history of the planet Earth. When God appeared on Earth, and walked this earth and exhibited the extraordinary activities. When God appears on this planet, He performs extraordinary activities that are memorized for eternity. That's why Ramayana survived for so long, for millennia. In the same way, that's why Mahabharata survived. That's why Bhagavad Gita survived for thousands and thousands of years. When God comes to earth, he performs extraordinary activities. Although he may look as if he is an ordinary human being, the quality, the essence is much, much different than of our earthlings. When Krishna and Rama appear, they are not bound by the laws of karma like we are. They come out of their own sweet will. We haven't come here out of our own sweet will. We had no idea where we're gonna be born, in what family, in what nation, in what culture, in what race. We had no idea. We were forced into it as if by karma. Nobody before he was or she was born said, I'm gonna be born in this particular body, with this particular form, with this particular color of eyes and hair and skin, with this particular amount of wealth and talents. Nobody was born. Nobody. Nobody said, "I'm gonna be born with the most beautiful voice. I'm gonna be making all these beautiful songs." No, you are born because of your karma. You have a talent, or you have talents because of your karma. Nobody came to this world out of their own sweet will. Everybody was thrown into a particular situation because of karma. Krishna and Rama is a completely different ball game. They appeared out of their own sweet will, and they exhibited extraordinary transcendental. Transcendental means even beyond celestial. Transcendental pastimes. And the purpose of these amazing, mind blowing, eternal pastimes of God is to help the conditioned souls to remember God and to come back to Him. That's the whole purpose. Because conditioned souls, unfortunately, which, we are all conditioned souls, we are conditioned, means we are conditioned by material energy. We are imprisoned within the body, within the material body, and we are so limited in so many in so many ways. Although soul, a unique individual soul, has no need for temporary material bodies, just like walking around on the streets with the astronaut suit, or in a scuba diving suit. There is no need for you to walk around in a scuba diving suit. So in this way, this material body is just a burden, just an unnecessary burden that soul really doesn't need, because the power of the soul is so vast that it can burn this little speck of dust instantaneously into nothingness. The soul doesn't need this temporary body that is literally full of shit, like till the brim. And actually, not only that it's body full of shit, but also our mentality so selfish, and everything is based on this selfishness, and everything is based on politics because we have to deal with this selfishness. So there has to be so much politics and so much ignorance, destruction, and so many things. That's the difference between God and us. We are conditioned, we are thrown into this world, while God, Rama, Krishna, they come down here out of their own sweet free will. And that's why their pastimes and their activities are more important than anybody else's. Who else? Who else on this planet Earth beside Rama and Krishna is more famous? Nobody. Somebody would say Christ. Stupid. Christ is Krishna. Christ is a plagiarized word stolen from Krishna. Christ is a mispronunciation of Krishna. And if you believe in Christ, you ultimately believe in Krishna. But because you're ignorant where the name comes from, you associating the word Christ with completely some idea that is absurd. Like, for example, worshiping God dead on the cross. Super absurd. But at least the name is there. That's the most important thing. The name is there. Christ. Christos. Krishna. There is nobody on this planet Earth more famous than Krishna. And Rama. Krishna and Rama. There are so many Ramirezes. Ramirez, Ramon, Jesus, Christos, Cristiano. There are so many names all over the planet glorifying Krishna and Rama. There is Rome and Roman Empire. There is Pharaoh Ramses. There is Ramadan, the most famous day, month in Islam. There is Ramayana in India and the whole of Indonesia. Every rock on this planet Earth still vibrates with Rama. There is Ramallah. There is Ramallah. There is Iram, Ibrahim, Abram. There are so many Ramas all over. And this all attests to the greatest story ever told, the Ramayana. Anyway, there is so much to talk about, and I just went off on this particular tangent, and I should have talked more about Skanda, Kartikeya. So many things to talk about Skanda and Kartikeya. But we can talk about this some other time. Anyway, there is nothing to be ashamed of in this particular chapter. Okay? Is meant for all people at all times, Mr. Ralph Griffith. Okay? It's meant for all people to understand these universal celestial happenings as they are. Okay? Don't give your interpretations. Just translate them as it is. And if something doesn't make sense to you, Okay, it will make sense to somebody else and he will tell you. Okay. Okay. Ciao.